So I'm gonna go through today exactly the main bottleneck behind most businesses. And it's usually not leads, it's usually not quality of calls, it's never objection handles that they're doing on the phone. It's almost always their automations. Nobody has the right systems nowadays, and they're not actually using systems to the full capacity that they could be. So I'm gonna show you exactly what a real system looks like, and you can use it to implement it yourself, or you can just use our exact snapshots and you can take them from there. But I did want to let you know too that we're also having an entire school community, as you can see right here, and it has a bunch of different systems that we're implementing, and we're going to keep adding all of our different systems, all of our specific use cases for you guys to implement for yourself. And the best part yet, it's 100% free. So this school community, you can just click it in the description and you'll join in, and you can see everything that we have and just implement it all for yourself. Cool, so let's jump into what a real system actually looks like. So you can see right here, I'm only on the dashboard, and I'm gonna start going through this step by step by step. So for example, we have a couple different calendars, some opportunities, stuff like that. But the most important thing is the actual automations part, right? So the automations, what this is I'm gonna show you from step one all the way through. So the minute a lead comes in, they automatically go to this automation, new lead 1 to 30 day, right? So when they come in here, you can see on the screen right here, at the very top, if we zoom in a little bit, we're gonna be able to see that they're filling in a Facebook lead form. So right when they fill out the form, we're gonna be assigning it to users, adding to specific workflows, which I'll get to in a second, sending out webhooks, different stuff like that. And then within 1 minute, you see how there's only one wait step, which is 1 minute, because we don't wanna hit them instantly. We wanna give them a second, make sure they're not doing anything else, stuff like that. So we wait 1 minute, we send an SMS, a voicemail, and an email. And for example, not only that, these webhooks right here and these add to workflows, this add to workflow is sending it to ChatGPT, which I'll get to in a second. And we're doing that to pull custom information from the customer. And this webhook is what's called VAPI. So if you're familiar with VAPI, what it is an AI that'll talk to your leads on the phone, call them up, and actually book them directly into your calendar for you. So we have those automated completely right at the start, and then we wait for a response. So we give them 3 hours after they fill out the form, and we send another SMS, and obviously this just keeps going. But if they reply to these SMSs or if they reply to the emails, we have to figure out, okay, what did this customer say? Did they say to stop? Or did they say, hey, I want to book into the actual calendar? So since we're deciphering that, we check out what they're doing, and we enable or we disable the D&D, because obviously if they say stop, if they say out, we don't want to be following up with them again. We want to make sure that they're completely removed, and we want to update the actual opportunity, right? So if they say stop, we're putting them into the lost section of the opportunity. We make sure that we're never ever going to contact them again, right? So that's part of it. The other part is we need to reassign it to the designated user, right? So if you have a calling team and then you have an in-scheduling team, you can separate that for each of those teams, right? From there, we're gonna wanna make sure that the pipelines are updated accordingly. So let's say they replied, they're about to start scheduling. We wanna drop them into an in-scheduling section in the pipeline. So we know these are the new leads that have never replied. These are the leads that started replying, but they didn't actually finish the actual booking part, right? So sometimes they will, sometimes they won't, but we always need to make sure that we keep track of that stuff. And obviously, this is a very extensive automation, so we keep following up for 30 days. That's what we have, right? And if I go out a little bit, that automation, we have those for each section of the entire pipeline, right? So let's go to the in scheduling, for example, right? So if they're dropped in the in scheduling, we want to make sure that they're being followed up with too. And obviously we don't want to be as rigorous, so we give them a couple days, give them some time, and just keep following up, right? So that's only part of it. That's only absolute minuscule part of it. We have the AI caller, we have the texting bot, we have all of that replying and actually helping them out. but obviously you can always do more, right? So what we realized is there's this thing called opportunities automations that most people are missing too. So in these opportunity automations, whenever someone's dragged from one section of the pipeline to another, this is a very, very easy way to organize all that, right? So you can organize this however you want, but we have remove from all workflows just to make sure that they're dropped in the right one. So if they started in the new lead 1 to 30 day, they started replying. Now we need to make sure that they're actually removed from these other automations, right? So we do that using triggers, and then we have a giant if-else condition based on where they are. And then obviously, if you need to add them to a specific thing, you just add and you make sure the remove from all workflows is at the very end of it, right? So if I go out, that's only part of it too. Obviously, we need to make sure that if someone's in there for a certain amount of time, we want to keep following up with them, all based on the actual amount of time, right? So that's why we have what's called stale opportunities. So it's pretty much the exact same thing. We add them to the workflows based on how long they've been in each section of the pipeline, and it allows you to be custom on how rigorous you want to be based on where the actual customer is. So that's a very useful aspect of this. With that, we have GPT automations. So we ask GPT, hey, here's the phone number of the customer, figure out where they're actually from, and give us either a zip code, give us the city, give us the state, and actually fill in that customer information dependent on where they are. So that's a super easy way without using a company like Melissa or any other platforms like that, like True People Search, to pull customer data from them if you don't need the address. If you do need the actual address of the customer, I would look into melissa.com and look into their actual API usage, because you can send phone numbers, you can send emails, any customer information that you have, you send it to Melissa, and Melissa will return all of the data that they actually have about that customer. And they'll send it all completely back to you. You can just use their API and get it back completely automated. So if you need it for your automations, that's always an option, right? So with that, we have power dialers. Our main power dialer that we use personally is called Kixi. Kixi is an incredible power dialer, and they have local presence. You can dial up to 10 lines at the exact same time. The most important factor that I've seen about Kixi is their local presence. Most dialers don't have this. So what Kixi does is Kixi has a pool of thousands of phone numbers that they rotate for all the people who have a subscription with them, right? So we use Kixi, and it allows us to use their pools, and they have pools of numbers not only in just the United States, but they have it across the entire globe. So you can call the UK, you can call Australia, whatever country you want to call, you can call them, right? So that's what power dialers is. And obviously, automations aren't very good unless you have reputation management and referrals, right? So we obviously have those. And that's the basic overview of what automations you should be implementing. There's a ton more that we have custom for each specific account, really dependent on what they're looking for. But that's the overview. The system should be following up. The system should be texting the customers back. The system should be emailing the customers back. And you should actually be using AI solutions to handle all this for yourself, right? So what that means is use a platform like Vapi and use a platform like Consolidator. Vapi will handle all your phone calls, book them directly onto your calendar for you. And Consolidator will handle all the texts, all the emails, all the DMs, and it'll actually drop it on your calendar for you or answer customer queries, anything like that. It's completely automated. Not only that, obviously, we have to have a giant opportunities tab. So this is what ours is. We have different sections based on where they are. And this is just a franchise consultant example. So we have like the new leads, in scheduling, booked, no show. And you have that for each of the different steps all the way until a closed deal, long-term sequence, or lost. And obviously, we're gonna wanna make long-term sequence automations. Those are almost always a necessity. If you are working with them for a while, they have giant lists of leads. You wanna reactivate those leads consistently. So you want long-term sequences. And again, the lost are always gonna stay in the lost because those mean that they said stop, they said out, something like that. So we can't actually reach out to them. So we never wanna touch those leads, right? And obviously, that's an overview of an entire system. So after watching that video, you guys should have a good understanding of what the systems that we use to implement into businesses and you can hopefully improve either your own systems or your client systems. And you can see also we're using GoHighLevel. GoHighLevel is the best CRM that we've seen to this date out of all the different options. There's different stuff like Close, different stuff like that, and they just don't have the capabilities that HighLevel actually has. And what I showed you are just basic SMS automations, figuring out customer data, stuff like that. There's always going to be specific custom use cases dependent on the actual industry. So for example, a good example for real estate would be a platform called Browse AI. Browse AI is actually able to pull customer information, take that information of what they're requesting, so it's bedrooms, bathrooms, different stuff like that, and you can send that to Browse AI and have it return different addresses, different homes, and you can automate sending that to your customers. So that's one simple use case that you can use, and that's just a realtor example. There's thousands of more different automations, thousands of more things that you can actually come up with for yourself. So if you like that overall video, feel free to join our free school community. It's right here, and you can take a look at it, join in, and there's so many different things that you can use and implement for yourself. We're always going to be adding to that community, and we're going to keep adding to those courses in that community. So alongside with that, if you need a custom setup for yourself or for your clients, don't hesitate to email us, schedule a call in the calendar, whatever you need to do, we're happy to help you guys out.